Oh, Lord, it's time for you to return. Oh, Lord, see. I know, I know, I know.
Oh, yes. It's that time again, truth time with Dr. Cornel West and yours truly. We count it all joy to be together with you today, this day. Dr. West and I will explore two major topics. One is, what did Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor say about presidential powers? Is the president above the law? And what does the rule of law really mean? Is it different strokes for different folks? You have this Trump administration explain that it is different strokes for different folks. But Doc and I, we're going to go a little deeper on that. And then the North Carolina Amazon workers attempted to organize workers into a union. They're organizing efforts. What happened? This is truly a David versus Goliath kind of situation, or a Diane versus Goliath situation, but nevertheless, they persisted. But before we get to all of that, we got the doctor in the house. Dr. West, what is on your heart, your mind, and your soul on this day?
I always start with the joy. Yes, being alive, counting my blessings, still swinging, still loving, still laughing in the midst of all the suffering and all the social misery. But it's always good to be in conversation with you, my dear sister. I can tell you that. But I've been thinking though about this issue of seeing in real time the American empire decline, decay, and move toward its dissolution. And this sense of the paradox of America. America is 68th empire in the history of the species. It's been about 70 of them. And no other empire has ever denied that it was an empire. So America could be the only empire to undergo its own decline, decay, and dissolution and never ever admit that it was an empire in the first place. That's called denial. But it's true for white supremacy too, that America's the only empire where white supremacy set so fundamentally at its core. And yet there's no reference to barbaric slavery in the Constitution. So you end up fighting a civil war over an institution not invoked in your Constitution. That's denial. Denial about how deep white supremacy cuts. Oftentimes denial that white supremacy even exists. And that was true 100-some years ago. They lynching black folk, but no, in denial. Why? Because America views itself as innocent. The only empire in the history of the world that views itself as innocent. James Baldwin say that innocence itself is a crime.
Come on.
And that facilitates the criminalization of these black peoples. And of course, we would also acknowledge our precious indigenous brothers and sisters. It's on their land that this whole thing is taking place, you see. So that when we actually look at what's going on with Trump, you wonder whether this really is the last stage of the American empire. That level of gangsterism, the level of contempt and hatred and attack on the most vulnerable, psychic violence, physical violence. See, that's most empires at their end escalate the violence just prior to their dissolution. It's almost biblically where the pride goes up, and the pride is just before a fall.
Yeah.
And what does that mean for us? Well, it means that one, we've got to make sure that we tell the truth. That's what truth time is all about. Painful truth. Then we got to keep fighting no matter what the truth is, because we love the folk being crushed. We in solidarity with folk being oppressed.
Yeah, we are, Doc. That part that you said, the only empire that denies that it is an empire, that denial is a drug.
Ooh.
It's seductive.
Mm.
It's making us this country think it has clean hands. And your point about, and I would teach this in my Black history classes, the fact that they did not even label slavery in the Constitution, as if they didn't write it, if they didn't say it, if they didn't acknowledge it, that it did not exist. That was a tactic as well to protect their own psychology. Because white supremacy causes you to try to protect your own psychology, to say that what is not. And so if they didn't label it, then they ain't got to deal with it.
But they think that somehow the repressed does not return. And they think that somehow because you're in denial, that reality somehow is erased and eliminated. No. What's in the wash is going to come out in the rinse.
That's it. As grandma said, you could put truth in the river 5 days after the lie. Truth gon' catch up.
That's sooner it. Or later.
Right. Sooner or later. That's it, Doc. Maybe not in our lifetime, but in somebody else's lifetime, that type of truth will catch up. And we are at a flashpoint. We're at a pivotal point in our country's history. We're always reminded of the unfinished business of justice. I think every generation is given its challenge and given its charge. And our generation, our time period that has multiple generations intersecting, is no different. The American Empire in denial. This is Truth Time on KBLA Talk 1580.
Speaking truth to power and to the powerless. This is Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner.
They can do anything they want to us. We might not be back. I might be in jail. I might be anywhere. But when I leave, you can remember I said with the last words on my lips, I am a revolutionary.
On Saturday, February 22nd, you're invited to A Night with the Panthers, a special fundraiser dedicated to supporting Black Panther veterans who now require assistance with essential needs such as medicine, food, and housing. These Black Panther veterans championed human rights, fed the hungry, educated the community, and stood as powerful symbols of resistance and resilience. Despite their incredible sacrifices, loving and serving the people did not come with retirement plans or financial security. So, now it's our time to honor their legacy and ensure that they are cared for with the dignity they deserve. You can help by attending and supporting A Night with the Panthers, Saturday, February 22nd, 6:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the Project 43 Team Post Center, 6841 Crenshaw Boulevard, Los Angeles. For more information, contact Black Panther Party Breakfast at gmail.com or call 707-554-2784. That's Black Panther Party Breakfast at gmail.com or call 707-554-2784. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Attention. If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
To thine own self be true. More of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner coming your way right now on KBLA Talk 1580.
If you are just joining us, welcome. Dr. West in his opening monologue was talking about the decline and the decay of this empire, and that the American empire is the only empire in the history of empires that denies that it is in fact An empire and how denial can be a comfortable position to be in for those who are inebriated with the denial. It's like a fluffy pillow, Doc. They done got comfortable with this denial.
Oh, like a fluffy pillow. Oh, Lord.
Like a comforter.
Lord, and they crushing folk under the pillow.
Ooh, suffocating them. That part right
Suffocating.
there. If they don't speak the words, if they don't write the words in the Constitution, it did not, in fact, happen as far as they're concerned. But if you're on the other side of that, the crushing blow of denial, you know full well in your lived experience that it is, in fact, happening. And there's always a reckoning, whether people admit it or not, because there's a spiritual order to things. And you know what? Karma is indeed real. And this country is coming face to face. Doc, thank you for laying out how many empires it has been in the history of the world thus far. And that sadly and tragically, this is the only one to not admit that it is, in fact, an empire, that it has geopolitical interests, that it has dipped and dapped into other people's business across the world. At one time, Dr. was this country had an isolationist kind of tone to it, starting with the first president of this country, and then over time started to look at what was happening in Europe and the European empires. The British Empire being one of many. There were several empires within the history of Europe, the continent itself, and the sun never set on the British Empire, and they were proud of it. They let it be known. You know, they rolling like that. And even the country that we now call the United States of America was a colony of Great Britain until they declared things were not going right, that in the course of human history, there comes a time where people must separate. I'm paraphrasing. And that gave them the gumption and compulsion to say, King George, enough is enough. We got to separate from you, and we have to declare our own freedom. And that is a quick one-on-one summation of how this country, the 13 colonies, became the United States of America as we know it today. And it is quite stunning, Dr. West, that knowing the history of the formation of this country, that some folks got the pure unadulterated gall to try to deny that same type of freedom that this nation sought before it became a nation. They don't want other folks in other countries, other nations, other continents to have that same type of freedom. And then right here on this soil, they don't want folks to have that same type of freedom.
No, that's real. And even the language of isolationism can be misleading, because even George Washington himself, he was quite heroic against the British Empire, won 3 out of 9 battles, but very important battles. But he was also an Indian killer, and he was a slave holder.
That's right. Yes,
at the same time. And as Indian killer, he was part of the wars for the expansion of the 13 colonies to become later on the 48 states. So that's still an empire. It's just within the continental boundaries. And it doesn't spill over, of course, until the 1890s with Cuba and Puerto Rico and
Spanish-American War.
Spanish-American War. But internally, it was imperial expansion as manifest destiny vis-a-vis other people's land, vis-a-vis other people's bodies and children's and wives and husbands and so forth. And this is not distinctively or uniquely American. Most empires do have expansionist impulses. There's just no doubt about that. And America always viewed itself as this city on the hill, a beacon of hope and grand exemplar of liberty. But no, it's just like any other empire, it's part of the same history of the species. And I just say, thank God for the Sermon on the Mount and the Sermon on the Plain, the 7 Beatitudes of the Sermon on the Mount and the 4 Beatitudes of the Sermon on the Plain. Blessed are the poor. Blessed are those who are lied on and rebuked and persecuted. Blessed are those who are crushed. Do not give up hope. Well, you see, those sermons coming out of a Palestinian Jew named Jesus has helped sustain the folk, given all the lies and crimes of the empire that denies that it's an empire.
Yeah, that part, Doc. And while we recognize everybody does not read from the same Christianity, you know, we got some Muslim sisters and brothers, some Buddhists, some folks who don't roll at all, atheists, agnostics. We got it. the spiritual centering is really what we're talking about, the belief in a higher power. And what streams through all major religions, Dr. West, is the whole notion of the golden rule, do unto others.
Do unto others. That's right. But
As you would have.
That's one of the great moments in that Sermon on the Mount. You're absolutely right. You can be secular and appropriated. Now, our precious Muslim brothers and sisters would view Jesus as
a prophet,
a great prophetic figure. Absolutely. And our Judaic brothers and sisters, most of them would acknowledge that there is no Jesus without Judaism, see. So that it's very much a product of their rich prophetic Judaic tradition. They just don't view him as savior or Messiah the way a Christian like myself does. But they understand his spiritual profundity, just like Hillel and later on Baal Shem Tov and a whole host of towering love warriors that comes out of prophetic Judaism.
Yeah, talk that talk, Dr. West. The empire, decline and denial, which brings me to Justice Sonia Sotomayor. So in an interview, the justice was, asked the question about, is the president above the law? I'm paraphrasing that, but a lot of people want to know. We know that courts below the Supreme Court have been making rulings on some of the I call it mischief that the Trump administration is operating and slowing down, and in some cases stopping this, and whether or not the Trump administration has a legal obligation to not try to roll over the courts. Now, we know that according to the United States Constitution, 3 co-equal, emphasis on co-equal, let's underline that, bolded, put an exclamation point and a message in a bottle, 3 co-equal branches of government, but it does seem that this administration is operating as if they are not equal branches of government, that somehow the executive power is more powerful than the others, even so much so, brothers and sisters, family and friends, that you have people like Vice President J.D. Vance and also the co-president Elon Musk putting out into social media some incendiary, like bring it on kind of words and threats, actually threats to judges across this country who are making judgments that they do not necessarily agree with. Doc, and I'm absolutely fascinated by that, because I want to know where our conservative sisters and brothers are in terms of saying this ain't right, but they're nowhere to be found. And basically, Justice Sotomayor referenced the founders of the formation of this country, that they need to adhere to what courts are telling them they can and cannot do.
But it looks as if the Supreme Court has already given Trump relative immunity, which is our dear sister Mayor's own court. They're the ones who said that the president is basically above the law.
Last year.
Yeah. What does she say about that, do you think?
I don't know if she was asked that direct question and how she squares that, because you're right. They basically said in the capacity of executing one's duty as president of the United States, that you can basically do whatever you want to do.
Anything you want.
And Trump is taking that full throttle. So there is a contradiction here. And whether or not these cases continue to elevate till they get to the United States Supreme Court, what the court itself will do. I wonder, and I'm wondering this out loud, will the court, in a way to say, wait a minute, you're going too far, now you all up in our lane, will they be self-respecting enough to their role in the Constitution to say to President Trump and his administration, you've gone too far, even though it would be a contradiction to a ruling from last year?
And granted, she did dissent from that particular decision. But it's very interesting, again, when David Remnick pressed Anthony Romero in the New Yorker, Romero, again, head of the ACLU, and said, if it goes to the Supreme Court, would the court actually impose some limits on presidential power, which would be contra what J.D. Vance was talking about. Vance uses that word legitimate, but by legitimate, he already has his conception of legitimate.
Yes.
which is
As
quite unbounded in many ways. But Romero says, I have confidence in the court. And I say to myself, where does that confidence come from, brother? Is this wishful thinking?
it might be a combination, Doc. I hope he's right.
Yeah, I do hope he's right, but I don't see a lot of evidence for it.
No, we don't see the evidence. And this is why, again, the framers, and I think Justice Mayor said this, they didn't want monarchy again. She did say this, I'm paraphrasing her. They wasn't about the monarchy anymore. You got to remember, historically, they were escaping the monarchy, and they went to great pains because of their experience with monarchy, the monarchy of Great Britain, to go the entire opposite way of monarchy. And then we fast forward to the 21st century, and we have someone who likens himself to a monarch and or a dictator of sorts. And you have his vice president, who is very young, following in those same footsteps. And then the co-president, Elon Musk, very much the same, double daring the courts really to go against them. Again, a threat. I think if an average citizen had been saying some of the things or directing some of the comments that J.D. Vance, the vice president, and Elon Musk, the co-president, had been directing towards the courts, that there would be consequences and repercussions. But because of their ruling class status and also title, especially for the vice president, they seem to be above it all. The United States Supreme Court has created quite a conundrum here, Dr. West.
No, it's true. But I think when the real tire hits the road is if the Supreme Court rules against the Trump administration, and the Trump administration says, enforce it. Well, the court has no mechanisms to enforce it.
No, they don't.
Trump's got control of the police. He got control of the military. All the courts could do is provide some fines or something. I mean, Musk could pay the fines until the end of time with his money. So that you have not only a constitutional crisis, but you have a genuine, massive breakdown in your system of separation of powers and checks and balances here.
That's right. And would they hold him in contempt, and what would be the consequence? I mean, there could be a consequence for the civilian co-president, but whether or not they would do that, because they could make an example of Musk and hold him in contempt and lock him up if they wanted to. They could definitely do that. They were talking a whole bunch of lock her up in 2016. Are the people, the megas, okay with President Trump and his co-president, but especially his co-president, since the court has given the president of the United States of America pretty much absolute power? Are they okay with him thumbing his nose at the court system?
At the court system. I mean, FDR faced this because the imperial presidency has been in place for a good while. And Arthur Schlesinger wrote a wonderful book about this many, many decades ago. And when FDR tried to pack the courts and FDR went beyond the law and the law came at him, he did defer. Everybody was wondering, would he do it or not? Would he become an outright dictator in the name of his own kind of liberalism? And he did defer. My hunch is that I don't know if Trump would really defer.
Trump is no FDR by any stretch of the imagination at all. And speaking of expanding the court, that's another thing that Democrats could have done when they were in power, but President Biden did not. He wanted none of that, even though others who are legal scholars, I just played one on TV, were saying to the Biden administration, here's an opportunity to pack the courts. They did not want to do it. I want the folks who have joined us to understand that the numerical makeup of the Supreme Court is not fixed. It can be expanded. It can be cut, but it also could be expanded as well. And the Biden administration had the opportunity to do that when they controlled both chambers of the Congress. And Doc, they refused to do so. Not even using the tools in the toolbox.
No, but that's part of the milquetoast character that contributed us in this situation in the first place. You see, if they'd come through stronger in terms of support to the working class, stronger issues of poverty, stronger in trade policies and imperial policies that did not in any way deindustrialize the Midwest and lead toward the collapse of manufacturing jobs and so on, that we'd be in a very, very different situation. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, we would and we should. And they're still not taking responsibility. Again, neoliberalism creates the opportunity and the environment for neo-fascism to spread and to thrive. And we are seeing that in the United States of America in real time. You are listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner. When we come forward, we will continue this conversation on KBLA Talk 1580.
The truth will set you free, but first it might raise your blood pressure.
So I'm not driving you, man.
More of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner when we come forward.
I'm Tyreek Wynn with 4 things you should know with BIN News. Officials say 2 people remain hospitalized after Monday's plane crash in Toronto, Canada. 21 people were injured in the incident at Toronto Pearson Airport. The Education Department is telling universities it will cut funding if they continue with diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. The Trump administration has cracked down on DEI and says it considers these programs illegal. A historic black church has announced plans to cancel its Christmas program at the Kennedy Center. The Alfred Street Baptist Church in Alexandria, Virginia, has posted a notice to its website saying the decision to cancel the annual performance came after prayerful consideration. Golden State Warrior superstar Stephen Curry, who is black, is the world's largest paid athlete. A new ranking from Sportico found that 36-year-old Curry earned nearly $154 million in 2024. I'm Tyreek Wynn on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
If you or someone you know is affected by the Los Angeles wildfires, you are not alone. No matter how sad, scared, or heartbroken you feel, Cal Hope is here for you and all those affected by the devastating wildfires. Find free, safe, and confidential mental health support at calhope.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
A quick check of NBA stats at the halfway point of the season led to an interesting revelation. LeBron is the NBA's all-time leading scorer. Clippers guard James Harden is 13th on the all-time scoring list. What may surprise some folks is that LeBron and Harden rank among the top 5 in the NBA in assists. LeBron is 4th with 9 per game. Harden is 5th, averaging 8.6. The ability to put the ball in the basket is a major reason LeBron and Harden will be Hall of Famers, but both have shown a willingness to give the ball up to open teammates. The Lakers and Clippers made significant roster moves in the past 2 weeks to prepare for a playoff push in the second half of the season. The Lakers traded for Luka Doncic. The Clippers picked up 6'8" playmaker Ben Simmons. We'll see if these moves have an impact on LeBron and Harden's assist numbers. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
I have a dream today.
The road to freedom wasn't paved with just big moments. It was built day to day, step by step, voice by voice. This February, experience Black History Month through the stories that shape Los Angeles and beyond. KBLA Talk 1580, where Black history lives.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline Nasal Spray.
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
This sandwich is not just spicy, it's flavorful. Hi, this is Patayo. And this is Elsa. And a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe Sandwich is that spicy kick. Because the spice comes in at just the right moment. Oh, no. A little thing I love is that cilantro lime sauce. It's a fun blend of zesty and bold. That's what really makes me happy. Are you going to eat all your fries?
Order a Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe Sandwich and a Diet Dr. Pepper on the Chick-fil-A app for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
This is where love and truth meet.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner.
Oh, yes, we are, Doc. It's that time in the show where we're going to delve into some of the comments made by some of the audience members on YouTube. Now, our first one is hot. Fred McCormick. He said, "You Kamala haters happy now?" Brother McCormick, we need you to get a grip. This is the love train here, and simply calling out the fallacies of neoliberalism, of which Vice President Harris is a neoliberal, and how it created neo-fascism, not her alone, but an entire system. But Brother McCormick said, we haters. You know, you ran for president. You ran against the system. You know, how would you help Brother McCormick to see this a little differently?
Well, I would tell the brother that we were bearing witness to a truth that we were in no way hating Kamala Harris, just like we were not hating Biden, that we hate the fact that Democrats didn't say a mumbling word about poor people or mass incarceration. They didn't say hardly a word about the conditions of the 62% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck. And they facilitated and sponsored a genocide that killed 20,000 Palestinians, my brother.
40,000
Kamala at all. And that if Kamala and Biden had come forth stronger on all of those issues, it would have been different. So that if he just wants to trump the conversation by being so narrow and dogmatic and say all we're doing is just hating, then I just pray for the brother and keep on moving.
I know that's right, Doc. People have a right to be wrong. Hey, who am I to stop you from being wrong? It is a love for people. Dr. West and I are humanitarians, and Democrats just failed. Just plain and simple, they failed. And Doc, I marvel at the fact that you and I got so much power. Boy, if I had all that power that some of these people ascribe to us, we would have universal health care today. Hello, somebody, the federal minimum wage would be increased. There would be no sub minimum wage, and on and on and on. But Brother McCormick, just to show you how fair we are, Dr. West said we're going to keep praying for you and keep on going. Andrea G said, good afternoon. Good afternoon, our dear sister. Anthony Westcott, I got off work early so I can tune in live. Glory to God.
Brother Anthony.
Yeah, we feeling you. We got all kinds of hearts and dynamites. McCormick, thank you so much. New Empire of Love Rising. That's Westcott again. Anthony, brother. Yeah, that's it. New Empire of Love Rising.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Ooh, our viewers are so smart. I'm loving that so much. Oh my God, just so many. So Doc, that's just a taste of what we got. We got many more. Maybe we'll get to some more as we continue on with our show, talking about love. Let's bring forward what is happening in the labor space. So we know that Amazon workers have been trying to organize all over the country. The latest organizing effort, which numerically was not a success, because I think that's important. The fact that this organizing effort was led by Black people, by brown people, and then allies of every ally in between to really stand up for their rights in North Carolina to organize. So calls Carolina and Amazonians United for Solidarity and Empowerment attempted to unionize their workers. They fell short numerically in that effort. Their demands were making $30 an hour, more paid time off, reasonable lunch breaks, safety, and that's just to name a few. Now we know that Amazon as a company is known for union busting, and they did all kinds of tricks to try to thwart the victory there in North Carolina. They did things such as putting fences around warehouses so it would make it harder for those who were trying to organize a union to go to and fro. They had security guards out everywhere. They arrested certain of the organizers to try to strike fear. Managers inside giving a different message from what cause activists were trying to do. Our dear brother Christian Smalls went down there to give some uplift to our brothers and sisters and family and friends in North Carolina. He knows a thing or two about trying to organize, as he did. Staten Island got fired for trying to organize, and they did win. They won the right to form a union, but all these years later had not been able to do it. The National Labor Relations Board has slapped Amazon several times. You know what, Doc? That is one of the bright spots of the Biden administration. Let's go ahead and lift that up.
That's right.
Fair.
That's right.
That National Labor Relations Board was a bright spot. Now it's going away under Trump. And right before the co-president for Joseph R. Biden, Joe Manchin was the co-president at the time for the Democrats, and then Senator Sinema, they would not vote for that last person so that Democrats could keep control of the National Relations Board. And now that's going to go all awash because of the Trump administration's hatred towards working class people.
No, but I want to salute Brother Christopher Smalls, though. He's been at it. I've spent some wonderful time with him in Staten Island. He was here with me in Harlem at Marcus Garvey Park.
Yeah.
Doing the campaign. Strong voice, tremendous grace, tremendous dignity. And I think there is a kind of awakening taking place in the labor movement. I saw some announcements. They want to have various boycotts. I think 2 days in this month, 19th, I think, and the 28th, that's a positive move. And more workers need to organize and even move towards serious strikes if it takes. Kind of shut down some places to let folk know this is an ultimate form of power. Our backs are being pushed against the wall. We're trying to take care of our children. We love our babies, and therefore we will fight. And boycotts and strikes are forms of fighting.
Yes, they are. And as we know, Amazon has capitulated to the Trump administration in terms of DEI. And some questions come up because there's a boycott afoot against Target. You know, why Target and not necessarily Amazon? You know, my argument there, and in full disclosure, you know, I'm working with and leading boycott efforts with others like Sister Tamika Mallory, Until Freedom, and others of our sisters and brothers and family and friends right there in Minneapolis, where the headquarters is for Target. The bottom line is you can't fight a multi-front war, so you got to pick one. And because the CEO of Target, after the murder of George Floyd, was so adamant in his commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, basically saying that George Floyd could have been one of his employees. And because of that, he had an obligation to do better by Black business owners and Black people in general. And that is really when he got involved, and now and even promising up to $2 billion to be spent with Black owned businesses, not just those who have products inside Target, but also to help retrofit Target stores, construction, you know, all of those things that are necessary. And just going back on their word. So it was hip and cool in 2020, and now all of a sudden it ain't cool in 2025. There's something wrong with being able to gamble with doing what is right. You can do well and do good at the same time. And Target CEO at the time understood that, but now all of a sudden, under the bigotry, bow into bigotry. That's what companies like Target, Amazon, McDonald's, and others, and then the companies who are holding strong are facing lawsuits, Dr. West, by Republican attorney generals and others who are suing them for believing that diversity, equity, and inclusion is in fact not only the morally right thing to do, but it is an economically beneficial thing to do as well.
No, you educating us, my dear sister, and this is what this Truth Time show is all about. We got to sustain the resistance. We're going to be meeting right here on 132nd Street on Thursday night at Revolution Books with Brother Carl and Brother Andy and others. We got musicians, we got poets doing what? Keeping the resistance visible and trying to expand it.
Yeah. And only the way that artists can do, and bringing that pizzazz and also that motivation, because people need to be motivated spiritually and mentally when you are fighting battles that are this epic. And the cause organizers in North Carolina, make no doubt, fighting an epic battle as workers all across this country who are just fighting for the rights to have a safe work environments, better wages, to have some work-life balance. They are not machines. They should be able to. And our appetite as a world, but really as Americans, to be able to get those products, you would think that we would care about our neighbors who are doing that hard work at these Amazon facilities, that we would care enough to be in total solidarity with them as they fight this battle. You know, when we come forward, we will continue this conversation about boycotts and strikes and the power of working class people. If only we would come together. This is Truth Time on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580.
Looking for a purposeful and passionate way to make a difference in your community? Volunteer with our Senior Medicare Patrol and help prevent Medicare fraud. SMP volunteers work in their community educating peers about healthcare fraud and how to prevent and detect it. Free training starts soon. Check us out online or at an SMP open house near you. We're on a mission to stop fraud. Join our team. You make a difference. Visit caSMPvolunteer.org. Protect yourself from Medicare card scams. Scammers may call, email, or even knock on your door claiming they need your Medicare info, asking for money or threatening to cancel your benefits. Don't fall for it. It's a scam. Remember, Medicare doesn't need to verify your information. They already have it. Medicare won't charge you for a new card and will never threaten to cancel benefits. Check your Medicare statements for suspicious charges and report scams to the California Senior Medicare Patrol at 1-855-613-7080. We're here to help. Life blooms in beautiful ways. The Afia Center invites you to celebrate at the end with Red Gala, honoring the strength and resilience of Black women living with HIV. Join us for an evening of empowerment as we launch the Barbara Cambridge Scholarship and kick off Herstory Month with our theme, Life in Full Bloom. Your support helps create vital HIV programming and builds a future where every voice is heard and every story matters. The end with Red Gala, because every flower deserves to bloom. To learn more and to donate, visit theafiacenter.org.
I feel so alone.
I'm embarrassed to talk about it.
How can I help my kid if I can't help myself?
I can't remember when I wasn't stressed.
I don't like it
inside.
When you feel overwhelmed by your thoughts and emotions, it's okay to get help. You are not alone. CalHope is here for you with free, safe, and confidential mental health resources for youth, young adults, families, and you. Find support now at calhope.org.
Truth shall rise again. You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes, you are. Dr. West opened us up by talking about empire, denial, and decay. Please, if you are just joining us, you want to go back and hear what Dr. West had to say about that during the opening of our show. And we are exploring presidential power. Is the president above the law? What can and will the courts do if the Trump administration thumbs its noses at its rulings and commands? The fact that we live in a nation where the Constitution was very clear about the separate and equal branches of government, but there's a contradiction, as Dr. West and I lifted up, given the fact that the United States Supreme Court pretty much said that the president can do anything they want to do as long as they're doing it in the capacity of as the president of the United States of America. So an epic battle is brewing, and Dr. West and I are both lifting up the Amazon workers who attempted to organize a union in the great state of North Carolina. Dr. West, our brother Jonathan Rosenbaum wrote a very riveting article in The Nation magazine. He went down and was there over several visits with the workers as they organized. I encourage everyone to go and read his article, as he has an analysis of what must be done to win this particular fight. And in summation, he lifted up, again, those Black and brown workers, because this organization, this organizing effort led by Black people, led by brown people, and then everybody else sprinkled in. So saluting that and not disregarding. I love how he laid it out, not disregarding their efforts because they didn't win it. Ultimately, he is saying, because of the power of Amazon itself, the behemoth that it is, that in order to organize, that Amazon workers, along with other labor unions, are going to have to take a real deep look at the methodology of how to really organize in a way that is not site by site, but using their incredible resources and putting money down so that they're organizing all across the country at the same time. It is going to require raising up people and raising up money to shake this thing. And to an earlier point that you made, even coming up, and he didn't necessarily say this, but a general strike. So it's going to take more, applauding the site-by-site efforts. But if there's going to be a win for the workers at Amazon, it got to be deeper. The synergy got to be deeper, and requisite investments are going to have to be made. And labor unions across this country, they have the money to do so.
I just hope they step forward.
Yeah.
That's the real challenge, though, because, I mean, see, it's one thing to call Trump a fascist, and he is, but it's another thing simply to call him that and then don't get on the front line and fight. This is true for the Democratic Party. This is true for Kamala Harris. This is true for Joe Biden. This is true for Schumer. This is true for Hakeem Jeffries. They all say, okay, he's this major threat to democracy and a fascist. And then as soon as he gets in and starting acting like a fascist, they don't fight in any serious, substantive way. No. And so for those of us who are still out here swinging, like you said, like David with Goliath, I'm trying to get our little rocks together and slingshots together. And you got all these drones coming at you and major bombs and cannons coming at you. But we keep fighting anyway. And that's what's crucial, because that's what you pass on to the next generation, that you didn't cave in and give up, that you kept fighting, you kept swinging, even though it looked as if you had the chance of a snowball in hell sometime.
Yeah, even when it looks bleak. I think Dr. King talked about, taking the step, even if you can't see the full staircase. And that really is what this about. Brother Jonathan, I just want to lift up some of what he said. He said this is eminently possible. To your point, this is possible for labor unions to do this. He writes, today, U.S. labor movement assets top $35 billion.
Wow.
A 225% increase over the last 15 years. So collectively, the labor movement has sufficient resources to take on Amazon and win by financing an industrial organization campaign at Amazon requires a political decision by labor leaders and the political will to follow through. Given the dire and declining state of labor and the central role of Amazon in the economy, what on earth are labor leaders waiting for?
Ooh, Brother Jonathan laid it out. He laid it out.
He laid it. Come on now, challenging that they say solidarity. Let's go ahead and make it real, make it material, and bring those resources to bear to help our sisters and brothers and family and friends at the Amazon facilities all over this country. That is another level of solidarity. Baby, this is Truth Time on KBLA Talk 1580.
When you had it up to gear with cultural incompetence, KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you, when we fight, we win. The Youth Justice Coalition is challenging America's addiction to incarceration and discrimination. YJC works to dismantle policies leading to mass incarceration, law enforcement violence, and the school-to-prison pipeline. Their approach, transformative justice, community intervention, free LA high school, legal defense, and system monitoring. YJC promotes safety without relying on prisons. Their goal, prevent system contact and help people exit the system through direct action, advocacy, and education. Want to get involved or need help? Call 323-235-4243. That's 323-235-4243. Join YJC in creating change. When we fight, we win. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice for justice. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
I can't believe how spotless my floors look after using the Swiffer Power Mop. No more dragging around a heavy mop and messy bucket. Now I get the same deep clean without all the work. Thanks to the powerful solution and scrubbing pad of the Swiffer Power Mop, dirt and grime don't stand a chance, and I don't break a sweat. Mic drop. Mop drop.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
A smarter way to mop. Try it or your money back.
This is where love and truth meet.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner.
It is indeed beautiful. If you're listening and or watching Truth Time, Doc Blessed Peacemaker, who's with us almost every single day. God bless everyone trying to love their way through this and this chat. Yeah, it's pretty hot in our YouTube chat today, but I love how Blessed Peacemaker always comes through with some words of positivity. It is indeed a beautiful thing because it's hard in moments like this to stay centered in that way.
And he's a very special brother. He really is.
Yeah, very much so. From Kenya, watching us almost every day. So Dr. Nina notes, in our remaining moments, I just want to stay with Brother Jonathan here. Because his challenge to the House of Labor is real. He ends his article this way. He said, "Labor's challenge is to imagine what is possible." Can we just center that? Imagine what is possible when the rank and file creativity of cause workers and other Amazon workers around the country merges with the full resources of the U.S. labor movement. This is a fight against Goliath that David might just be able to win. Brother Jonathan, you better go ahead and talk that talk.
Oh, he got that David Goliath.
Yeah.
Language in there, though, didn't
he? Yeah, he said might just be able to win.
Mercy. It reminds me of the great Robin D.J. Kelly, who talked about freedom dreams. Right at the very moment where it looks like you're reaching the nadir and the lowest place. Freedom dreams.
It might be able.
Imagine what it's like. It's like the Commodores with Zoom. I want to imagine what it's like. I can walk with dignity and with grace.
Absolutely.
In a world where at the moment it's nightmarish.
You better talk about that. Listen, we encourage everybody, please go and read. If you care about workers' rights, if you care about the economy of everyday people, this is an article that you do not want to miss. And I'm definitely going to send this article to some of the leaders, allies that I have and friends within the labor movement to envision that all of the major labor unions of these United States of America coming together and marshaling that $35 billion resources that they have to help our Amazon sisters and brothers. Imagine that. all over the country. You know, those workers are a necessity now. It's not going anywhere. So, you know, we got to get over. Amazon is not going anywhere. So to me, our fight in this moment is how we compel Amazon to care about its workers enough to pay them a good wage, to make sure that they're able to rest their bodies, their hearts, their souls, and their minds as they do a service to this nation. God knows during the height of COVID, but for those frontline workers like Amazon, some people wouldn't have been able to get their medication. Brother Jonathan, Dr. West, and I can imagine that. And we're hoping that the leaders in the labor movement can imagine that this might be a fight, just might be a fight, that David can win against Goliath. Dr. West, this is it for us. For all who have tuned in today, we really do appreciate you, and we do indeed count it all joy. You've been listening to Truth Time on KBLA Talk 1580.
God.
Yeah.
I'm Tyreek Wynn with 4 Things You Should Know with B.
Recovery centers that are still active, please visit recovery.lacounty.gov or call the debris hotline at 844-347-3332. If you're vulnerable to mudslides with rain in the forecast, free sandbags are being offered. Go to lacounty.pw/sandbags to find out where to get them. Businesses who have lost their facilities due to the fires can use a regional online source to get free or discounted locations. Whether you're interested in donating or finding space, you can visit the Business to Business Space Share portal at spaceshare.lacounty.gov. Additional LA County small business support and programs can be found at opportunity.lacounty.gov. Praying, advocating, and standing with you. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. So glad that you're joining us coast to coast. I decided today we're going to give Elon Musk and Donald Trump a break. I just don't think it's ever going to stop. But if it is going to stop, our music, our genre during African American History Month, Black History Month, is going to have a lot to say about that. I've invited 3 very special guests to participate in our show. Our first guest will be Mark Williams, better known as MDoc. We're also expecting Heather Hayes, the daughter of Isaac Hayes, at the bottom half of the hour. And then we will turn to Teresa Griffin. I have particular fond memories of just about every single one of our guests today. And I want to thank them for taking time out of their very busy schedules to spend this time on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. MDoc is a rap artist, producer who was signed to RCA Records and Smash Records in the 90s. He scored chart success with singles Free and It's a Summer Thing featuring Shantae Savage. He's currently president of Indie Soul Entertainment, Williams grew up on the south side of Chicago and graduated from Whitney Young High School in 1987, where he played basketball and was nicknamed Doc because he liked NBA legend Julius Erving. Williams stated that he started off with a group of friends on the south side, and he used to go to his basement where his father had enough equipment to get some beats together. They made 8 different songs, put them on tape, sold them at their high school band, and the group was called BP3 because all 3 members were basketball players. Local producer Steve Silk Hurley heard one of the tapes, and the two collaborated to record a record. It's percussion, with Hurley handling the music and Williams billed as M-Doc for the first time rapping. The single came out on London's Jack Trax Records. He then signed with Smash Records, released his first album, Universal Poet. He then signed with RCA Records, released a second album, M-Doc, with Stevie-O, Come On Get Your Groove On, in 1995, which featured It's a Summer Thing, featuring Shantae Savage, and another single, Like 'Em Like That, Just a Freak. In 1996, he produced in the Midway video game NBA Hang Time. In the late 90s, he produced remixes for Madonna, Janet Jackson, Keith Sweat. Billboard called him one of R&B world's top remixers, and also CeCe Peniston, who sung background vocals on one of his tracks on his 3rd album, Keep It Real. Mark, welcome to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Mark, you might have to unmute yourself. As we wait for Mark to handle this small technical glitch. Mark, are you there? Well, while we handle this one small technical glitch, I'm very excited about the prospects of leaving Donald Trump and Elon Musk alone for a minute. Their stories are just exhausting. Even today, as they work their way through the education department and are now looking at every college and university and monies that they are receiving from the Department of Education, offering a strict scrutiny to all that it represents. I thought we'd have a little lighter show today, turn to the genre that makes our protest possible and that makes our lives so much easier and the days so much more bearable. M-Doc, Mark, welcome to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Hey, Mark, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing. Hey, I gotta applaud you, man. You guys are deeper than Chat GPT over there. I haven't heard that bio in about 20 years, man. So wherever you dug that one up from, I applaud you. There's more to the story, but man, that was good to hear.
Well, we're going to give you an opportunity to fill in the blanks. Mark, welcome to the show. Mark, I wanted to have you on for Black History Month because of the deep reach that your career has had in freedom music, in the history of music, and how the genres themselves have emerged. Share with us your career, your path, and how this all comes together.
Yeah, I'm happy to be on a show, especially of this magnitude, speaking about anything that has anything to do with Black history. Me, myself, I wasn't necessarily, when I did rap, I wasn't a protest rapper or dealing with any social issues, but man, I really followed all of those guys. And it did influence me a lot. And when I look at artists like Public Enemy and KRS-One and all of those guys, man, just significant influence in our culture and in our music in itself. And so, my story doesn't continue on as a rapper who dealt with social issues, but as a producer and a songwriter, we did get to those heights.
I find it somewhat fascinating that there's this turning point where artists from the streets, the music of our culture, the music of our lives, began to replace the studio. Certainly when you heard James Brown, or when you heard Marvin Gaye, or when you heard Isaac Hayes and these cats from the late 60s, early 70s, and even before, they are singing a beat that speaks to the time and that speaks to the culture. And as a producer now and a remixer, you interact and you watch the culture change. When we come forward, our guest will be Mark Williams. We'll pick up on this conversation. Mark, welcome to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Yeah, sure, man. Oh, did I lose you guys?
No, you're still here.
Okay,
but
good.
let me come forward after this break.
Okay.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
They can do anything they want to us. We might not be back. I might be in jail. I might be anywhere. But when I leave, you can remember I said with the last words on my lips, I am a revolutionary.
On Saturday, February 22nd, you are invited to A Night with the Panthers, a special fundraiser dedicated to supporting Black Panther veterans who now require assistance with essential needs such as medicine, food, and housing. These Black Panther veterans championed human rights, fed the hungry, educated the community, and stood as powerful symbols of resistance and resilience. Despite their incredible sacrifices, loving and serving the people did not come with retirement plans or financial security. So, now it's our time to honor their legacy and ensure that they are cared for with the dignity they deserve. You can help by attending and supporting A Night with the Panthers, Saturday, February 22nd, 6:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the Project 43 Team Post Center, 6841 Crenshaw Boulevard, Los Angeles. For more information, contact Black Panther Party Breakfast at gmail.com or call 707-554-2784. That's Black Panther Party Breakfast at gmail.com or call 707-554-2784. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Attention. If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance. And you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. My very special guest is world-renowned remixer Mark Williams, formerly known as M-Doc, who doesn't go by that title anymore here in the city of Chicago or in the nation.